Hello， 大家安安。这是 Cornu Dev 今天呢要做的是 Unity VR 的专案的学习，那会用官方的教学文件。那如果我的声音太小，或者是背景音乐太大声，就跟我说。那我在观看教学影片的时候呢，会把背景音乐调小声，所以背景音乐有可能会跟着一起被调小声。那我们就开始吧。那我先把视窗抓上来。那这边我会用一个比较小的视窗去放这个截取的部分，我怕那个吃到版权，所以就不要放太大。那声音也会尽量小。那教学的文件的网址我有贴到置顶。那我不确定教学内容有什么，那它大概可能就会是Unity 基本操作，那它可能会跟 VR 有些关系。那我们就来看它的文件吧。
Welcome to the VR Developer Pathway. My name is Joy, and I'll be one of your guides along this learning journey. In this pathway, you will learn to create immersive virtual reality experiences using Unity and C#. VR is a unique medium. As a VR developer, you can immerse your users in a way that is unlike any other interactive experience. It's also a fast-growing, rapidly evolving field with a ton of potential. During this pathway, you will work on a wide range of VR experiences, including a personalized interactive room, an architectural visualization, a 3D painting app, a factory training simulation, a prototype scene, an escape room, and even a few projects that you'll design from scratch. You'll get step-by-step instructions, guidance from industry experts, and challenges to test your skills. This pathway was designed for people who already have some programming experience. If you don't, it's not a problem. We have resources that allow you to create VR experiences without any code. And when you do pick up some more programming skills, you can always come back here later. By the end of this pathway, you'll have new skills up your sleeve and new projects in your portfolio. Then, if you want, you'll be ready to get a job in this industry. Ready? I'll see you in the pathway.
对，他这边做了一下改栏。那如果完成他这边可能有4个大部分，但今天可能只能做第一部分，因为就需要11个小时。那完成大部分的话，它可能会有一些互动的操作，设计场景跟刚刚提到的一些游玩的场景。那我们下一步呢？练先 start 了。OK， 来到这个教学，你 get started。这是对的吗？Welcome to the VR pathway.我测试一下我自己的声音好了。 测试。OK， 还算清楚。测试。我们继续。我这边版本就是选用2002-3版本。Okay, overview. Welcome to the VR Dev pathway. In this pathway, you will learn the skill necessary for VR development with Unity and C#. In this tutorial, you will learn what the VR development pathway is, what it is for, and how it's structured. 如何去建立。我这边需要登录。这样就可以 mark 完成。What is the VR app development pathway? The VR development pathway will prepare your career in VR development. In the video below, you will meet some established creators in the field and hear directly from them as well. Like to work in this exciting industry. 分放倍数。小声。
Hi, I'm Paisley Smith, and I'm a virtual reality director, filmmaker, and I lead Unity for Humanity at Unity.
My name is Moody Matan, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of BrandXR.
Hi, my name is Sam Roach. I manage the partner engineering team in EMEA.
My name is Andrew Connell. I'm a VR developer, simulation engineer, and content creator on YouTube. To solve and interesting things to think about, even things in real life.
For me, it's a problem that isn't completely solved, and I think that to an engineer is one of the most interesting things that you can ask. Emerging
experiences.
You can tell stories in VR is so new. It's exciting for both the creator and
可以
the
这
audience.
部分应该可以跳过，就直接介绍。While you work through this pathway, you will immerse yourself in VR. Okay. You also fill out your portfolio with new Unity VR projects. Okay. 他这边都还在介绍这整个教学的过程的 pathway. Who is such pathway for? 那我觉得这边部分可以跳过。How does VR fit in SR? 就是 SR 呢，就是 VR 加上 AR 加 MR。VR 就是虚拟实境 ，AR 就是拓展实境。那 Pokemon Go 就是 AR 的一种。那 Mixed Reality 就是混合两者。那 SR 就是三者，那其实就是类似 MR 的意思。对，这边有一些 VR game 的范例，一些 VR 游戏的范例，然后这边是 AR 的范例 ，OK。AR 的差别就是你可以看到背景有一些人物出现。MR 就介于 AR 跟 VR 的中间，那 XR 就包含整个整体。OK， 那这是 XR， 有实际的空间，然后也有虚拟空间，然后它是重叠的，同步并行。OK。Landscape， 然后这边列出一些跟虚拟实境相关的职业，这部分应该可以跳过。How is a pathway structure？ 它这是简介整个课程是怎么构成的，那大概分可能4个部分。那今天只会做第一个部分，那室内环境、建筑的编辑系统，然后一个对话界面，然后一个类似工厂的界面。OK。 硬体需求，看一下硬体需求，就是你需要有一个 headset，OK，但是也可以有 SR device simulator，就是你用你的电脑可以有一个模拟器就可以了，就是你可以用你的滑鼠跟 keyboard 代替这个 input，OK。OK，就下个步骤。背景音乐好像可以再小一点。那我们就来到 VR Software Setup。In this session, you will get all the necessary software for your computer and your VR device installed and compare VR development. If you haven't already, you should install the recommended version of Unity be available to follow along with this course, depending on which VR device you intend to use. You may also need to install additional export module. OK， 除了 Unity 以外，还有一些额外的模组需要安装的。OK。来看一下 overview。
Anhydrate.
Before you can create with VR, you need to set up your computer and your VR device to communicate with each other.
哦，安安啊，出现安安。Ultraman Orb 安安。我昨天有看到你在我没有播的时候有订阅，出现啊，感谢订阅。
On your computer,
Good
that
vibes.
means installing the right version of Unity. On your VR device, that means setting it up in developer mode so that you can
感谢你的订阅。
And to get them to communicate with each other, depending on the VR headset and computer you have, you might need additional cables or to install additional software. I know it sounds like a lot, but trust me, it's worth it. By the end of this lesson, you'll have all of your hardware and software set up to create.
那这边要准备电脑跟你的 VR device， 然后用连接线连接你的电脑跟VR device、VR 眼镜。
There are so many devices and brands, each with their own unique side of them, which displays two images, one per each eye, which you look at through these lenses, just like the real world. In addition to the HMD, most VR headsets come with two controllers, each with a variety of buttons, triggers, and thumbsticks.
大部分的 VR 眼镜都有控制器，那新的 VR 眼镜有手部辨识。
Although there's a lot that these headsets have in common, one distinguishing feature is whether they are tethered or standalone. A tethered headset is connected or tethered to another device like a gaming computer or console. The HMD just acts as a display while the computer or console does all the processing. This allows you to experience the higher-end graphics that you'd expect from a ability to handle high-end.
眼镜连接电脑让电脑运算的话，它会有比较好的
As
品
technology
质。
changes, the line is being blurred between these two types of devices. With an additional cable, some standalone devices can be tethered to desktops. That's okay. So, to make all that happen, I'll see you in Unity.
OK。Listen。OK。 所以如果有 VR 的设备的话，实作的时候就可以比较直接的去做这个测试。我们等会要花时间来设置一下我的 VR 眼镜啊。这边列了一下教学的需求。那前面上纲的时候已经讲过一遍，这边又讲一遍。你要有 Unity 的经验，你要有 VR 的经验，然后你需要有一个 VR 的设备。那没有 VR 设备，他刚刚有说你可以用电脑的模拟去测试。Update Unity Hub 有 done， 后面 Unity Hub 已经开起来，然后也做更新。那开启 2022.3， 那上次就已经更新到有下载这个 22.3 的版本。这边如果是 MetaQuest 要安装 Android Build 的 Support Module， 那我印象是原本就有 Android Build 的 Support Module。Quest Device 知道。Before you begin development with a Quest, there are few steps required. 那如果是用 Quest 跟 Quest 2的话，要完成这个步骤。我这边好像要先花时间去设置，或者 device 到开发者模式。You receive email invite once member of the organization. Create a new organization to follow this step. 这边好麻烦，我需要登录，然后把它打过来。稍微做一下登录，它这边需要创建一个组织。Cornu Studio。然后这边是创建
安安。
安安，猫的友达，然后日文不好，佩拉鲁，安安。现在在做 Unity 专案 但前面有做一些现在在做一些设置，有点无聊，就是看着它的文件要做一些硬体上的设置。Verify your account to 验证一下账号。如何验证呢？这边看起来是有验证过其中一个。这样应该可以，然后要去开启开发者模式。Menu device. Where's my menu?它这个要用手机的 app、mobile app 操作。Device， 我手机。Devices， 然后 select your device， 选择你的硬体，然后 asset setting， 然后选择 develop mode 开发者模式，按照这个选项。develop asset setting。with the asset setting， 这边还要去开我的眼镜。拿我一下我的眼镜，然后把它开机。有吧。Testing. Okay. 需要 要去连接我的 WiFi。不知道我的网络会不会塞爆。不太到欸。 CK。Developer electoral debugging always allows on this computer. 找不到可以连接的 device， 还是抓不到我的 device。Wi-Fi is on. 很好。我连不到我的眼镜啊！啊。怎么办呢？手机要开蓝牙。
来陪你一起写作业了。
哦嗨，我现在困难点就是我现在手机跟我的 device 连不到，然后我没办法把它调成开发者模式。看，我已经在那边卡半个小时了。
手机
就是你要把设备调成开发者模式啊。
你不是用电脑编辑吗？
电脑没有那个界面啊。
Face blue white eyes face blue white eyes face blue WI。
To set up your Oculus app, download the on-screen instructions to create an Oculus account.
.我还要等你用好带我飞诶。
你有连过你的手机吗？
MO 上次交代的我根本没动。
我重开机。我要重载 Horizon App。 已经1:30了。我还没有吃饭。
我靠！甘地，
对啊，我的版本已经到最新了。
Quest 2跟3会不会有版本差异问题？
应该会差一点点，会差一点点。我前几天有连到，但今天就连不到了。
它是用蓝牙还是啥？
WiFi， 我 WiFi 连了，然后我蓝牙也试过，然后还是我前几天还有把 Chris 录的影片传到我手机里面，然后今天就不行了。
放包乖乖。
我现在想跳过这个步骤，然后因为先跳过这个步骤，所以他这边第一点
跳过之后可以继续做吗？
第一点是到你的手机 App 上面看这个 device， 然后把它切换成这个开发者模式。然后这一步我做不完，第二步，然后第三步我已经做完，直接到眼镜里面去把它开发者的一些设定好。So。
感觉要用很久欸，
所以我直接跳过好了，之后再回来。那先装这个，来了。他现在叫我下载这个一个 driver， 让我打开这个点 INF， 然后就会用笔记本打开，在笑。 卡卡的，没有安装啊。有了。我假装我已经完成。
elbow cough.你之前的 OpenCV 会有装不起来的问题吗？
没有 ，OpenCV 它我之前就装过，然后我这次只有更新而已。
我找不到那个版本。
就随便装个版本就好。
还是我直接不打版本 XD？
可以。继续看教学。结果这个程式有桌面版的，那我刚在干嘛？我们现在下载阿 Q 的桌面版。
啊！
他说我已经安装过了。看，
老师之前说是可以弄在荧幕上。
我刚好像看到什么重新开机，然后我按了确认。怎么？我好像要重新开机耶，王荡。
LMAO 主播钟离，
我先移除好了。
主播会举办500订阅企划吗
？500订阅企划，500订阅要干嘛？你觉得500订阅要干嘛？ 500订阅还很远呢，还要32个人呢，还要32万个人。
获得与主播 VR Chat 机会。
什么东西？哦 ，VR Chat， 然后500订阅开 VR Chat 直播。重新安装。
兄弟贴贴。
我今天就一直在安装东西耶，
我受不了了，你好香！
我操！疯狂安装东西，然后什么都没做。然后你们可以先去下一步了。他这边在安装，感觉要有一点时间。这个又是什么呢？Version Control。哦，他说可以用版本控制，就是 GitHub。没数。这个随便他。OK。你直接跳下一步。我们来到1/1了，刚刚还在1/0。Oh my god！ Materials 可以下载2个 Materials， 看一下它的概览里面。
要处理那么久哦，我完了。
You're about to start working on your VR room project. Eventually, you'll have areas to explore, buttons to click, and objects to grab. Maybe some hats to put on, plants to water, or other cool toys too. But before you can do all that, you need to answer an important question. What's your style? Are you looking for that modern vibe with simple details and big open windows? Maybe a rustic cabin feel with dark wood floors and big wooden beams. What about a more traditional room with crown molding and double windows? Well, by the end of this lesson, you'll have a new Unity project with a big empty room that you can experience in VR. When you first enter your VR room, you'll notice that your head's position and rotation are being tracked on all 3 axes. You can move your head side to side on the x-axis, up and down on the y-axis, and forwards or backwards on the z-axis. So rotate your head up and down about the x-axis, side to side about the y-axis, or tilt your head left or right about the z-axis.
Okay. Open your VR new project. Download the file, create with VR projects. 因为我刚刚在下载的东西，所以它特别的慢。有的。
Now, in order to get started with this course, the first thing that we'll have to do is create a new Unity project configured for VR. Now, remember, watch as I do this and then try it yourself. Now, the first thing that I'll need is the Create with VR Starter project, which you can find a link to download at the bottom of this step. I've already gone ahead and downloaded it onto a folder on my desktop. Here you can see Create with VR. And the file that you download is actually a zipped folder that contains all of the things that we need for our project. Now with that file downloaded, you're going to double click on the file if you're on Mac to extract that file. Or if you're on Windows, you can right click on that file and extract all. Now on Windows, it'll ask you for a place to extract the files in the folder. So I'm just going to extract to that same folder that I had, Create with VR. And this may take a little bit just to extract all of those different files that we have in this compressed file. Now you can see here that my folder has unzipped and it's created this Create with VR folder. If I go inside of this folder, here you'll find the VR room project folder, and if I go inside of there just to take a look, you'll see all the different folders and files that will be needed to set up my project inside of Unity.
OK， 先把它拖到我的 Unity Projects XR Pass。 Okay.
So if I go back up one level, I'm going to rename this VR room project folder so that way I know that it's mine. So I'm just going to right click on it, rename VR room.
哦，它这边有2层 ，what the fuck？ 等一下，接上。
Carl D. So this is actually going to be the name of the project when I open it up inside of Unity. Now I'm going to open up this room that will be needed to set up.
我觉得好像少一个档案。看一下下载。没有少。
My project inside of Unity. So if I go back up one level, I'm going to rename this VR room project folder so that way I know that it's mine. So I'm just going to right click on it, rename VR Room Carl D. So this is actually going to be the name of the project when I open it up inside of Unity. Now I'm going to open up this project inside of Unity Hub to open it in Unity. We've added the steps below so that way you can follow along and see how you can add an existing project into Unity Hub if it's not already in that list. Since Unity Hub is always changing, we didn't include it in this video. But it is very important that you open the project in Unity LTS, which stands for long-term support. So it's a stable version of Unity for development. And now you can see with my project open, it might have taken quite a bit, and that's because we've added in a bunch of the assets as well as starter scenes for different things like our challenges in the course. So down in our project window, you can see our assets folder here that has the course library with all of the different prefabs and different scripts and audio that we've added in. But in addition, we've also set up the project already to work in VR. So if I go to the top of Unity here and I click the window button, I can go down to Package Manager, and you can see here that Unity loads up all of the different packages that are already implemented in this project. Now the Package Manager is a really great way to add in a lot of additional Unity features in case you need them, so you can actually select this Packages in Project dropdown and select Unity Registry. And in the Unity Registry, you can see a whole list of different packages that you can use inside of your project. So depending on what kind of project that you can create, you can add in these different packages to make that experience a lot easier. Now, specifically with these packages to make our project easier, we've already implemented the Universal RP package. So this is the Universal Render Pipeline. This handles graphics rendering and is especially optimized to work on different platforms like Quest. The Universal Render Pipeline makes that a lot easier on your headset. In addition, we have XR plugin management as well as the XR interaction toolkit. Now, if you're wondering what XR stands for, this covers all of the different platforms that are in the extended reality ecosystem. So that could be anything from augmented reality if you're working on something on your mobile device, for example, or virtual reality like we're going to be doing to work on our VR headsets, or even mixed reality if you've seen different devices like the Microsoft HoloLens, for example. All of these different acronyms are encapsulated within XR. So the XR plugin management makes it a lot easier for us to work with our different XR platforms to try and make everything a bit more standardized whenever we're going to publish and build onto our headsets. And the XR interaction toolkit provides a lot of these different classes and methods to make our lives a lot easier when we're trying to develop in XR, so that way we don't have to write all this code on our own. So what you're going to do is download the Create with VR starter files, and you should save it somewhere like on your desktop so it's easy to find those files. You're then going to extract all of the files that are compressed under this folder here. Inside of that folder, you're going to take that first folder and rename it to be the name of your project, in my case, VR Room Carl D. And if you go down into that folder, you can see all of the different assets and packages and settings that are going to be added in when we start our project. From there, you're going to go through Unity Hub to add this project into your hub and then open it up in the proper version of Unity. Once that project opens up, you can find that all of the different assets that are included in our project are already added in, which will be really helpful later. And in addition, if you go to the top of Unity, you can check out under the Window tab, go to Package Manager, and you can see all of the different packages that are
OK， 这边就是要新增 add， 然后把刚刚载的这个加进来。版本好像有点差异，不过应该不会差太多。OK， 等它开启。哔哔哔哔哔。 它出10号有点久。今天开到3点就好了。晚点来开一个玩游戏的。离开一下。
今天潘托姆开放。
安托姆是什么？尼基新角色啊。Yeah。
怪盗。
这边看起来有一些模型档，有些问题。
哇，好像有人在云 face orange raised eyebrow 笑。
那你要抽吗 ？Yeah。那也可以去检查一下它的那个 asset。
零等2周年。
我的 package manager 在哪里啊？Window package manager，OK。 检查一下它 XR 的东西有没有在里面，有 XR plugin，然后 XR legacy input and XR interactive toolkit, XR core utilities。OK， 那这个可以 close tab。然后教学继续看。Open a change version, continue. OK， 有Open XR plugin， 再检查一次 Window Package Manager， Open XR plugin， 然后都有 ，OK， 然后 URP Universal Pipeline 有 ，Yeah。Open and explore the starter scenes.
Now that we have our project opened up, let's take a look at some of these different assets already available. So for example, we have this scripts folder that has a bunch of scripts that we've written for you to make your life a lot easier so that you don't have to code all the interactions yourself. We also have a bunch of audio clips that we'll be using for different things like background sound effects or music. And in our prefabs folder, we have all of the different prefabs that you'll be adding into your scene to start developing out.
零的两周年。喂，喂，喂，喂，喂喂喂，喂喂喂，喂喂喂，我声音好像没有了欸。喂喂喂，我声音好像没有了欸。喂喂喂，我声音好像没有了，声音好像挂掉了。喂喂喂。 它这个 BGM 好像
buffering
就是怪怪的。
Of these different assets already available. So for example, we have this scripts folder that has a bunch of scripts that we've written for you to make your life a lot easier so that you don't have to code all of these interactions yourself. We also have a bunch of audio clips that we'll be using for different things like background sound effects or music.
然后就先继续，然后
have all of the different prefabs that you'll be adding into your
等一下要再放背
scene
景音乐。
out your actual VR room. Inside the scenes folder, there is a pre-configured starter scene named Create with VR Starter Scene. But before I even open it, I'm going to rename it something like Carl Room. Then I'll go ahead and open it. You can see it's a pretty simple scene, just a gray plane in an empty environment. Now, just to show you that this project is VR ready, here's what the starter scene looks like. And you can see I can... And in our prefabs folder, we have all of the different prefabs that you'll be adding into your scene to start developing out your actual VR room. Inside the scenes folder, there is a pre-configured starter scene named Create with VR Starter Scene. But before I even open it, I'm going to rename it something like Carl Room. Then I'll go ahead and open it. You can see it's a pretty simple scene, just a gray plane in an empty environment. Now, just to show you that Create with VR Start. And in our prefabs folder, we have all of the different prefabs that you'll be adding into your scene to start developing out your actual VR room. Inside the scenes folder, there is a pre-configured starter scene named Create with VR Starter Scene. But before I even open it, I'm going to rename it something like Carl Room. Then I'll go ahead and open it. You can see it's a pretty simple scene, just a gray plane in an empty environment.
OK， 那这边先进到这边 Things 资料夹，然后这边有一个 Run 的 Things， 点2下进去，就来到一个空白的空间。OK， 里面空的。
Now, just to show you that this project is VR ready, here's what the starter scene looks like. Go ahead and open it. You can see it's a pretty simple scene, just a gray plane in an empty environment. Now, just to show you that this project is VR ready, here's what the starter scene looks like. And you can see I can already move my head and it's tracking my hands, and I can rotate my hands with these spheres here, and the lasers are pointing which way my hands are pointing. But we won't be able to do this just yet, but we will show you the steps later on how to get your headset set up for this VR world. You can see that there's some light setup already done. There's an interaction manager as well as an input action manager. So these different things will be managing all the different interactions and input that are going to be going into our scene. As well, we have this XR rig, which you can see here as a camera offset and a main camera that's attached directly to the XR rig, and objects for our left and right hand controller. Now you might be wondering to yourself, why do we have an XR rig if we're creating a VR project? The XR rig is essentially a stand-in for any kind of XR headset that you'd be using, whether it's something like a HoloLens or an Oculus Quest in my case. So it's already been configured to be able to work with any of these different platforms that you could potentially be using. But let's explore this XR rig object a bit more. So you can see that it just has this one XR origin component, which handles the position of the user's camera rig in the virtual environment. In other words, when this XR origin point moves in the scene, so will the user's camera and controllers. And it keeps track of a different number of properties from the actual base game object that it's going to use for the XR rig itself, the offset for the camera, for how high it's supposed to be off the floor, and a reference to the main camera, so that way it knows how it's supposed to be tracking the camera movement when you move your head. In addition, you could also change the tracking origin mode if you'd like to be something just tracking the position of the device versus the floor. But we're just going to stick to the floor for now. And then in the XR rig, you can see here the main camera. And the main camera has a new component for a tracked pose driver. So this is actually tracking the position of our headset and updating the camera as it moves. So you can actually see here, it says tracking type, rotation, and position. And you can actually change this tracking type to be rotation only or position only. So for example, if you were going to create a stationary experience, for example, maybe you're on a roller coaster or something, maybe you only want the player to be able to rotate their head left and right. Like I mentioned before, with the 3 degrees of freedom versus the 6 degrees of freedom, just by rotating your head only, you're stuck within that 3 degrees of freedom. But for this project especially, because we're going to be moving around this room, we need that 6 degrees of freedom to track the rotation and the position. Inside of the different controllers, you can see there's a long list of different properties for actions inside of our XR controller. So this is keeping track of whenever we do anything on our controller, it knows what action it's supposed to be doing. So for example, I could take a look at something like the select action. And if I just click on this reference here, you can see it opens up inside of my project window. So this is one of the inputs that I'm keeping track of. And if I double click on that, you can actually see the full list of different actions that are already set up in XR. So if I expand on the select action, you can see here it says grip press for the left-hand XR controller. So on some controllers, like my Oculus Quest, there's a trigger on the grip.
The input system.
I can press that down, and Unity will know that I'm trying to use the select action, and then I can make it do something from there. So with all those different scripts that we've already pre-configured, we already have a lot of these different functionalities already set up in our project, which is great. In addition, there are many more components on our controllers. So you can see here, there's the Ray Interactor. So we'll actually have these red lasers coming out of our controllers.
Ray Interactor.
To interact with objects. So that's
互动用的东西。
A lot of different VR projects, as well as a line renderer, so we can actually see that red laser, and an interactor line visual, so we can know when we interact with something, when that laser crosses over something that we can interact with, it can change color whenever we select it. So all of these things are in our VR project to make our lives a lot easier. If you're interested, adding new XR objects to your scene is pretty simple. From the Create menu, you'll find an entire XR menu, which includes the XR origin, different interactors, and other elements we'll learn more about later. One note is that if you add an XR origin object for VR to your scene, it will actually be named XR origin rather than XR rig like it is in the starter scene. This entire XR menu only appears because this project is configured with the appropriate packages and settings. Having the scene all pre-configured, but if you want to learn how to set up a VR project from scratch, there's information on how to do that in the written instructions. So with that, what you're going to do is go to the scenes folder in the assets folder down in the project window, right click on that starter scene to rename it, and then just rename it to something like your name room. That way you know that this is the room that we'll be working in. You can open up that scene to see the starter scene that we have set up here. Feel free to take a look at the XR rig and all of the different new components that are on it, like on our camera and our controllers. And if you want to see all of the different inputs that are already pre-configured for your controllers, you can head over to the Input Action Manager script, where you can see all of the different action assets that we have set up. And you can just click on the overall large map for each of the individual ones if you'd like, to open up that Input Action Manager and see all the different actions that are available on assets that we have set up. And you can just click on the overall large map for each of the individual ones.
Input Asset Manager.
Different action assets that we have set up. And you can just click on the overall large map for each of the individual ones if you'd like, to open up that Input Action Manager and see all the different actions that are available on all of the different controls that we have. So with that, now it's your turn.
OK， 那他刚刚就大概简介一下这个专案里面有什么东西。我现在已经开启刚刚那个 scenes， 然后它现在可以去看一下它的 main camera。OK，main camera， 然后看一下它的 component， 有一些 script 上面。Break origin tracking mode device of flow， 刚刚是选择 flow， 这先不选。Camera offset controller 有些事件 action 可以选。 OK， 我这边先选择跟他一起 flow 好了。OK。在没有设定的情况下按 play， 不知道它是没有东西的。先看下一步。
Now that we have the foundations of our VR scene set up here, what we're going to do is start designing our environment here. So, in our course library, we have a variety of different options that we can take a look at. If we go into the prefabs folder and go into rooms, you can see that we have a couple of different rooms already designed for you so that you don't have to go and 3D model your own room. So let's take a look at some of these rooms. You can see here down in the bottom right that there's a preview for each of the rooms. So this is a more traditional looking room. Here we have a more rustic room. You can see those wooden beams at the top there. And then a more modern.
这边已经有一些预设的物件可以让我们用。
My scene here. Now, what I recommend is for any of these rooms that you drag in, make sure to drag them into your hierarchy. That way, their position is exactly in the middle of our world here. So I can drag in that modern room that we can see here, and you can see a little bit of weird effects happening with that plane, but we'll fix that in a moment. Let's drag in that rustic room, and using the move tool, I can move that rustic room over. And then I can drag in the traditional room as well, and let's move that over as well. So now we can see here, our rustic room's got a pretty cool feel inside. A lot of dark wood being used. Got these rectangular windows here. If we take a look at our modern room, you can see it's very clean. White paint all over. We have these big windows here. And then inside of our traditional room, you can see that it has those like squarish windows. And a bit of an off-white or gray wallpaper. You can even see it has some molding on the corners, which is pretty cool. I'm going to stick with the modern room for now, so I'm just going to right-click on the rustic room, and I'm just going to delete it. Same thing with the traditional room. And I'm going to select that plane. You can do that either in the scene or in your hierarchy, and just right-click and delete it. And now we have our nice little room here, which we can start working on. You can actually see the outlines of our XR rig there. You can see the space that it's currently in. When we added in that room as well, we actually added in 2-point lights. You can see right here, as well as in the hierarchy. So this is just so that when we're designing a room, we'll be able to see everything a lot clearly. But we'll dig into some lighting as we get deeper into the course. Now, if we take a look inside of our room here, you can see that it just looks out into the vast infinity of our Unity virtual world here. So let's go and start adding some environments into this world to make it feel a little bit more real. So I'm going to head over to the course library once again, and a really easy thing that you can do is using this breadcrumb trail. You can actually just select the course library. I'm going to bring you to the top level folder. We're going to go back into prefabs, and we're going to go to the environments folder. In the environments folder, we have all these different foreground and background objects that we've designed for you. So we have this foreground hills here. We have buildings, and we actually have background to create an effect in the distance. Now, since I'm going for this modern room, I think it fits very well, being in kind of like an apartment building or something like that. So first, I'm going to take one of my foreground objects, in this case my buildings, and make sure to drag and drop these as well into the hierarchy. You can see here that the buildings now magically pop in. You can see the outline of all the different buildings, which is very cool. Because the position of all these different models in the prefab have already been set, you don't have to worry about placing them at all. If you drag them into the hierarchy, they should be in a very good position for your So this looks pretty good, but you can see out in the distance, we have some of the infinity of our virtual world. And so we're going to use these background objects to essentially create kind of like a wall in the distance. So we have these hills and we have the buildings. We're going to use the buildings since it's a bit more thematic. So just drag and drop that into the hierarchy as well. And if I deselect my background, you can see now that we have these like shadows of background buildings in the distance. So I think that looks pretty good to me. A nice little tip in case you don't want to accidentally select any of these foreground or background objects is in the hierarchy, you can see on the left-hand side, there are these two icons. So there's one that's an eye, and if you select this one, it actually makes those objects visible. We definitely don't want that. You can use this little hand icon, and now none of those objects will be selectable. So if I go outside of my virtual world, say for example, I was clicking around somewhere, I can't click. And last but not least, what we can do is adjust the lighting of our scene here. So you can see that the lighting is actually creeping through some of the cracks in my model, but that's okay. I kind of want to create a little casting effect coming through like the windows on this side. So what I can do is if I move outside, I can select my directional light. And you can see here that it's technically inside the room, but it's actually coming from this light source over here. And what I can do is I can select my directional light. You can see here that it's technically inside the room, but it's actually coming from this light source over here. And what I can do is using that rotate tool, I can try and rotate it. Maybe let's see if we get the lights coming in over on the left side of this room here.
要调整一下光线。
Buildings, which is cool. You can see the light shining through, and you can actually see that the light source moved, so you can actually move and try to see which way the light source is going to go. So now we have a pretty good setting for our VR room that we can start building things into. So what you're going to do is, in your VR room scene, head over to the course library folder, go to the prefabs folder, and then go to the rooms folder. Inside of the rooms folder, you're going to select one of these 3 different options for a traditional. Go to environment.
OK， 就照着它做吧。先到 asset 里面，这边 asset， 然后它有 prefab， 这里 prefab， 里面有 room。这是背景。run 在这里。对，就这个，稍微把这个降一点点，先把显示关掉，这样 ，OK， 然后到 environment， 把它的 background 拿出来。这是后面的布景，然后这个 background hills 是后面的山，然后这个 foreground 前面的一些建筑，这个 foreground 是那好像不需要这个。我先建议到这个视角，我还是把它放在地面好了。你现在是不用这个 hills， 我们把它 delete 掉。OK， 然后调那个平行光源，那旋转，把它这个这样。OK， 接下来是要 run the device with simulator。
So now we can see our room in all of its
dash it.
VR glory, but what if you didn't have a VR headset and you wanted to test something out? Well, we're going to take a look at the device simulator so that I can use a mouse and keyboard to move around this room. Now, to get started, the first thing I'm going to do is head over to this samples folder over here.
OK， 先用键盘跟滑鼠当
Inside
模
of
拟
the
器。
samples folder, there's the XR interaction toolkit. And if I
Samples
go down
folder
into
里面
this
有
folder here, you can see
XR
that there's an
interactions.
XR device simulator folder. Now, if the name is too small, you can scale.
Samples， 然后有一个 assign to interaction tool。
down those folders so that it only shows the names if that's something that's helpful. If I go to the XR device simulator, you can see there's a prefab for this XR device simulator here, and you can see that it has a whole bunch of different actions that are already attached to it. So I'm just going to drag and drop this prefab into my hierarchy here. And if I head into play mode now, you can see that I actually have the perspective of my headset here, although it's very hard to tell because I'm currently in the ground. Now this tool is especially helpful if you're just looking to do some kind of quick test, if you don't have your device connected or anything like that, but it does require a little bit of controlling all of the different aspects. Now, I'm going to be saying a lot of keyboard shortcuts here, but don't worry. They're all written below this video and you'll have time to practice them after. So if I hold right click, I can control the camera, move around. And another cool thing that I can do while I'm holding right click, I can also use the middle mouse button by clicking and holding to rotate my camera. Now you will need a mouse with a clickable scroll wheel. My right mouse button and my middle mouse button. And that's a nice way that we can control our camera. Something else that I can do is by holding left shift, I can move my left controller. And by scrolling with my mouse wheel, I can actually move that object forwards or backwards. Same thing if I use my middle mouse button, I can actually rotate that controller around. I can also toggle it by using T on my keyboard. And I don't have to hold down left shift, I can just move my mouse around. If I want to use my right controller, I can hold the spacebar down to move that. Or I can use Y to toggle that interaction on and off. Something cool that I could do if I wanted to, I could also toggle on my left controller. And then I could rotate my controllers around. Now, since in VR you have 3 devices each with 6 degrees of freedom, plus buttons on each controller and thumbsticks, that's going to be very difficult to do with just a mouse and keyboard. So this will take some time. If I did want one of my objects here to be floating around the screen, for example, on my left-hand controller to be moving around everywhere, I can use the V key to reset that position. So this is a pretty useful way if you want to really quickly be able to test something in VR. It does require a lot of memorization for all the different controls. If you do want to see what some of the other actions are that you can use inside of the device simulator, you can just click on the device simulator, and either from the input action manager or just by selecting one of these different actions available, it'll open up inside of your project window when you select one, and then you can just double click on any one of these different actions, and it will open up that input action window inside of here. You can see here that there's also input controls that I can do. So for example, if I use my grip or my trigger, I could use the G key on my keyboard to use that grip button, or if I use the left mouse button while I have one of those controllers, I can use the trigger button. So there's a lot of different options in here. You can even see on the main action map how you would actually go about moving all these different objects around in your scene. You can see toggle, manipulate, T, right hand, Y. So if this is an option that you want to take a look at, then you should take a look at the input action manager to see all of the different actions that are already connected. Now, one thing to note with the device simulator, if you are going to be testing your project on an actual headset, then you want to make sure to disable that device simulator. So with the device simulator selected, just uncheck the checkbox to set that game object to inactive. So that way, when you're in VR testing your project, the device simulator won't cause any conflicts or issues. So what you're going to do is if you want to add in a device simulator to test out inside of your project, in the project window, go down to the assets folder, under samples, under
场景内都可以摆放这
go to
个
XR device simulator, and then where the XR device simulator prefab is, you're just going to click and drag that into your hierarchy. And then if you want to test it out, you can head into play mode, and underneath the video, we've listed all the
那
different
如果
controls.
是你要用真实头盔游玩的话，你就先
And if you want to see all the
把它
enable,
unable，它就不会
select that XR device
知
simulator,
道
select one of the different actions that you can see listed under
就
that
不会
device
启
simulator
动
component.
这个
When you select that, it'll pop open inside the
simulator。
project window, and you can just select any one of these different inputs that are already attached and take a look at all the different mappings. So with that, now it's your turn.
Yo， 所以呢， OK， 所以我就是找这个 simulator， 然后把这个 prefab 把它抓出来。那确定一下是不是跟刚刚的东西差不多？我感觉新版的哦有啦，在这里，刚刚很多东西。好， 我们点这样点 play。OK， 按这个平面先把它 enable，OK， 再接回来。OK， 你进到这个模拟器的画面，然后滑鼠左右移动是旋转，然后键盘可以这样移动。Okay. 然后 Controller Toggle T 可以这样子 ，OK。哦，它新版的有这个界面，其实还蛮好的。我就不用去背那个，然后。Space， 就是 U 是 HND headset， 然后 TY 是 controller。Cycle XR input。OK，Tab 就是切换。
你现在有戴眼镜吗？
没有，它这个是它内建的那个模拟器 simulator， mouse。
欧老师说这可以不用碰 XD。
哦，这个可以不用碰。
他好像很不推的样子。
OK， 那我们继续。这我觉得这一步我做完了。OK。
So now that we've taken a look at our device
大声
simulator, let's see how we can get our VR headset set up so that we can preview it inside of our headset in Unity. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of the different packages and plugins that we'll need to add into our project to be able to make this work. However, since this technology and these processes are changing so rapidly and the videos are very hard to keep up to date, I'm not going to walk you through this step in the video. Instead, carefully follow the written instructions below this video to set up your project settings appropriately. So inside of Unity, first I'm going to make sure that the device simulator is disabled. And then if I enter play mode, I should be able to get up and running with my Oculus headset. So here you can see I'm in my VR world and I have my headset on and it's connected and I can move my head, I can move my controller around. And now I can get started testing my project using my headset. So now it's your turn. Follow the steps below this video and test your room through Unity on your actual VR headset.
按照它的步骤来做。Install Open XR plugin XR testing. From top menu select Edit. Select Edit project setting. Edit project setting. Select XR Project Manager， 然后 Open Available， yeah. And resolve any warning by arrow icon that appear next to the plugin name. If there are no warning, no error. 如果有 warning 的话 ，open 这个 validations, which will tell you that you need to add an interaction profile for the device you are using. Select Edit button, open the Open XR setting panel. Edit button panel. Okay. In the Windows, make sure the Oculus Torch controller profile appear in the list of interaction profile. Oh no, 没有。Then enable all available XR feature. Ocular Touch. Yes. 然后以下的部分要有 mock runtime 跟 runtime debugger。他说要打勾所有的 feature group， 那我就全部给他。可以。然后这边就没有 warning 了。然后接下来要 connect 我的眼睛，透过 Questlink software， 然后我的已经安装好了。登录。 有了有了。装置设定，优先。然后就可以按 play， 然后控制。我会试试看，如果没有的话，那就 GG 了。Go go！ 我好像抓不到我的 device。 不行，连不到啊！我只有私底下在自己测试。
Now that we've seen how to test our VR project inside of Unity, we'll take a look at how we can build a project directly onto our headset so that I can experience it disconnected from my computer. Now, if you remember, under the edit button, I took a look at the project settings. Now, once again, depending on what device you're using and whether you're using Windows or a Mac, these instructions will be different. So rather than me walking you through it, just check out the written instructions below to make sure you select the appropriate plugin for your setup. Now, if I head over to File, go down to Build Settings, I'm going to make sure to switch my build platform to Android. And once again, you'll only see this build platform if you've installed that Android export module. Underneath this menu of options, I'm going to go and select the Android option and then click Switch Platform. Now this might take a moment as Unity reconfigures to build onto Android. Now that my platform is switched, one thing to make sure is that your scene is listed here as a scene to build. So if you don't see it here, you can click on this Add Open Scenes button and we'll add it into this section here. Definitely make sure that this scene is checkmarked so that it will be added in our build. One special thing I'll need to do is make sure that my device, my Oculus Quest headset, is set as the run device. So I'm going to select the refresh button here so that it'll find all of the different devices on my computer. Then if I select the drop down here, you'll see that there is all compatible devices or this string of characters here. And this is actually the ID for my headset. So I'm going to select this device as the one to run. And then I'm going to select build and run. Now, when you click build and run, it'll open up a window to choose a folder to save your build. I would recommend creating a new folder and calling it build. And this is just inside of my VR room project folder here. Make sure to double click on build so that you're inside of the folder. So this is where our executable is going to be saved. And then inside of my build folder, I'm going to name this build Carl D VR room 1.1. So this will be the starting point for my project. So then I can click save. And now Unity is going to start building out the project to be playable on my headset. So I'll see you in VR. So now you can see here I am in my VR headset inside of my room. I'm no longer connected to Unity, so this project is running entirely on the headset by itself, which is pretty cool. So what you're going to do is first head over to the edit button in your menu and go down to project settings. Inside of your project settings, head down to the XR plugin management, go to the Android tab in this window, and make sure to select the appropriate option for your particular device and computer setup by following the instructions below. Then you're going to head over to the File button in your menu, go down to Build Settings. Inside of Build Settings, you're going to choose the appropriate platform to build out to. So in my case, it was the Android platform. At the bottom, you'll probably see a Switch Platform button. Make sure to select that so that Unity starts configuring your project to build out on Android. Make sure to add open scenes so that you can add in your current scene if it's not in this list. So in my case, it's Scenes Carl Room. Make sure to find the device to run on. So select this dropdown, and if you don't see your device, click refresh. Once you're done with that, you can select build and run, which will bring up a window. In that folder window, you're going to create a new folder for your builds. So I created a build folder here. Make sure to go into that build folder, and that's where you're going to save your executable file. And then once you click save, Unity will start building onto. You're going to create a new folder for your builds. So I created a build folder here.
我这边也抓不到我的 device。 哦，
煮个面，
哦，
不好放弃。
嗯。OK，觉得今天就到这边了。剩下私底下测试，这样我网络会比较稳，应该会比较容易连到。Yep。今天就到这边了。等你开一个游戏的直播，来玩一个守塔的游戏。
换我干。
那感谢今天所有来看我直播的，感谢 Ultraman Ob， 感谢 Neko no Tomodachi 佩拉鲁，感谢 GS Noob， 感谢其他潜水的观众。各位拜拜，这边是 Cornu，
再见主播，
拜拜，拜拜。
Face blue smiling face blue smiling face blue smiling。
是不是给 K 给扳手啊？这个这样你就有扳手了。好，拜拜，大家拜拜啦。